Mary is literally one of the most prominent, foremost ET, UFO, contact with being researchers on the entire planet. She is a world figure. She has her finger on the pulse. I am amazed at Mary's dedication and commitment to this whole phenomenon. She hears stories, people contacting her from around the world, literally continually, and she really is a go-to person in this field. And she has a wealth of information.
Recording
She's been
in progress.
Someone's talking to me, Mary.
Sorry, recording in progress. I'm recording now.
Got it. Unfortunately, Mary couldn't actually be here in person today. That was our plan, to be in person. She has unfortunately had a very serious family crisis. We didn't actually know even until yesterday about this time if she was even going to be possible to do Zoom. So our thoughts and prayers, good wishes and healing go out to Mary and her family. And she's so resilient and committed to this cause that she didn't want to let anyone down and still managed to do the presentation via Zoom. So we really honour and respect you, Mary. Mary's a principal ACERN, and her pioneering research is grounded, practical, and traverses cutting-edge territory in the field of the ET phenomenon and the star children. And she's appeared in many different documentaries, including Oz Files, My Mum Talks to Aliens, and she's also published 2 books, which I'll talk about at the end. She really doesn't need an introduction. I'm pretty sure most of you have come across Mary's work at one time or another. If Mary is new to you, then buckle up, because she is going to take you somewhere that you probably haven't been before. I remember the first time I heard Mary speak, I was like, OMG, this is full on. So please give a very warm welcome to Mary Rodwell.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Thank you, Anthony and Nina and all the wonderful team at the Paradigm Shift. I hope you can hear me okay. Yes. Well, I'm going to start with the presentation, and I hope that every one of you in some way gets something from this, because we're all in this together, guys, and we all are part of this new awakening of humanity. Now I'm going to share screen and I'll fill you in as we go along. Right, okay. Can everyone see this?
Yes. Audio's good, Mary. The audio's coming through fine.
All right, okay. Well, now I'll do the slide play. Here we go. There we are. How's that?
Perfect.
Right. Well, guys, I would have loved to have been with you, but the universe had a different plan today. But at least I'm with you in spirit, and I'm hoping to share with you some of the amazing things that are happening across this planet from this other level. And every one of you there knows this is so. Every one of you is there, has chosen, I believe, to come here at this time to help the planet and the consciousness of this planet evolve. So it is a new dawn for disclosure, because I'm sure any one of you that's been looking at what's happening globally now, more and more of these beautiful souls that have been bravely and courageously talking about their experiences, and not just about going on spacecraft, but actually being visited, communicating, and feeling a part of this star seed origin. So this is just to let you know a little bit more about myself. And the main thing really for me all along has been, how do I help those that are going through this transition? And that was why I wrote the 2 books. And I wrote them because it's about sharing each other's experiences and opening the world to our reality, our multidimensional reality that has been suppressed for so long or ridiculed for so long. We have also realized that this is not just about bright lights in the sky. It's not just about whether people want to believe this or not. We're talking about consciousness. We're talking about the fact that we're more than our physical container. We're talking about the fact that each one of us is connected to a greater reality. And one of the latest books that explores this is Beyond UFOs, the science of consciousness and contact with non-human intelligence. What's important about this is there are many ways that we are interacting with the non-physical realm and these non-human intelligences. The Dr. Edgar Mitchell Free Foundation has morphed, if you like, into the CCRI, Consciousness and Contact Research Institute, the new paradigm of consciousness, the paranormal and contact modalities. New research which explores the changing face of ufology and how to contact with our contact with non-human intelligences has expanded humanity's understanding of reality and led to a deeper exploration of what is the nature of human consciousness. And it's all under the psychic abilities of out-and-body experiences, near-death experiences, remote viewing, shamanism, Kundalini awakening, past life recall. These experiences, every single one of them, can act as this catalyst to awakening not only to the angelic realms and the higher realms, but interdimensional, extra-dimensional, trans-dimensional, and even visitors from our future, all result ultimately in awakening to our contact with non-human intelligences and our own soul families. What we have noticed is consciousness is primary. And as you see, the book, The Greater Reality, explores all of those and how they all tie in to the same thing, which is we have a consciousness that can be activated by all those different experiences, which ultimately lead us to connecting to the greater reality. The Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation was, if you like, the survey that we found with 4,200 people, that one of the 600 questions was really about their encounters. And what was extraordinary, even to myself, was that we discovered only 25% of encounters are physical, 75% are non-physical. And that is why nuts and bolts ufology struggled, because people couldn't bring back parts of the craft and couldn't give tangible, as far as we're concerned, solid 3D evidence that they were having experiences. Well, they can't when it's consciousness, because it's a consciousness-raising exercise. And we discovered 75% are actually non-physical interactions. And here we have the contact modalities. All these modalities can and may result in contact with non-human intelligence, connecting to spirits and ghosts, UFO, UAP, sightings and encounters, out-of-body, mystical meditations, healing, shamanic experiences, channeling, remote viewing, near-death experiences. All of them open up that awareness to the fact that we are not alone, not just in the physical universe, but also in the non-physical universe. Programs and agendas. Let me give you a little bit of an overview in what many want to know is why me? What's it all about? Where is this going? All the big questions that every one of you in the conference today are interested in. Non-human intelligences, why are they so interested in humanity? Are they involved in the creation of Homo sapiens sapiens? To what end? Dormant DNA previously thought to be junk. Why is this relevant? Dormant DNA has properties we are yet to understand. Dormant DNA activated? What are the results of activation? The purpose of information downloads, music, symbols, star language, light languages, healing. Why is this so significant? The new generations of human labels such as ADHD, Asperger's, dyslexia, and forms of autism. Hybrids, is there a difference? Is there a cosmic educational syllabus? Why do so many encounters have healing performed on them and taught healing modalities? 50% of those that filled in our survey said they'd had healing performed on them on the craft. Ultimate outcomes of contact. What do the surveys indicate? And what does this mean for humanity? But first of all, something that is very human. And one of the things that is missed by many having experiences that don't understand, and certainly that most of the public is not aware of the interference of various groups on this planet to stop any revealing this is happening, but also they have their own program of abductions. And this is called MyLab, and this is something that can color the way somebody interprets their experiences. And Dr. Edgar Mitchell actually says this.
That perhaps a large part of the activity, also classified as UFO activity, abductions, and a whole host of this type of activity, may very well not be due to ET activity at all. I would suspect if any can do the ET activity, it's a really small part. And a larger portion is due to humanoid activity, person type activity, in a very clandestine fashion.
There are a great deal of those having experiences that are not only having very real ET experiences on board craft, etc., but are also abducted by certain covert groups on this planet that emulate the abduction experience and usually use it as an interrogation and a traumatic experience. So the person often can get confused between what was in fact a star being interaction or a human orchestrated abduction. And the ones that have been the most traumatized in my research and in my work have been the ones generally that have had some form of human abduction. And that, this is really important to state because very little of this is known in the general public, and often very little of this is known by many that have experiences. They may have had very traumatic experiences, and the ones that I've found that have been the most traumatized are often through the human activity of abducting them in the same way that they may be abducted by these star beings, but they are traumatized, interrogated, drugged, etc., etc. And they often can't always tell the difference. So it's a very important point to make because ultimately what we're seeing with our surveys of the 4,200, that most of those that had experiences, 85% had a psycho-spiritual transformation, certainly not ultimately extremely traumatized. And that's a really important point to make. So what are the percentages of contact with different species that we have found in the survey? Interestingly, the most that had experiences with 55% of energy beings to begin with, 52% humanoid, 50% the greys, 47% spirit ghost type beings, 34% grey beings, tall grey beings, 26% hybrids, 25% reptilian, 21% mantid. The majority of cases of negative interactions, under 10%, with the exception of reptilians, 23%, experienced a negative encounter. Many experience contact more than once, but multiple times, and contact is ongoing. For many, it began as a child. So let's put some flesh on this information. Non-human intelligence is genetic manipulation of human DNA. Tracy Taylor, many of you may be aware of through my research and work, one of the very first experiences that came to me when I was living in Perth. She was doing these amazing artworks, speaking in star languages. And this is what she said about her understanding of how we were created. She said, one night I had this intense feeling before sleep. I wrote in a process where I had little control, something beyond my present understanding, and it was contrary to everything I had been taught. It said the human race had been created by extraterrestrials. It contained information about genetic manipulation of human and extraterrestrial DNA to create another species. Remember, this is a download. This is not something she read. And this, many experiences will tell you, is how they get information on our origins. It's scientific information. All sorts of areas of knowledge are often downloaded from these intelligences. And of course, we know many and all of the indigenous tribes across the planet have had experiences with these intelligences. They interpret it differently to the Western mind, and they are, many of them, very comfortable with it. This one is a beautiful painting by an Indigenous artist in Australia. And this is what she said: the planet's a half a day's journey. These beings are friendly and just watch the Aboriginal way of life. They have no guns, spears, or weapons. The air on their planet is food. Their green uniforms protect from Earth diseases. These space people speak all languages. The elders say the space people showed them how to grow food, find water, and showed them amethyst stones for healing. And this is really, really important, because this is the kind of information we're getting from many Indigenous groups across the planet. And we also now have to look at, do we reinterpret what we understand as gods? And I think we do. On the left is a blue being that a 9-year-old drew of one of her guides and helpers. And as you can see, a blue being here, the Indian god Krishna, and the blue skin. This, I think, is, for anyone, is at least something to look at and appreciate, that when they say, well, you know, where are they? They've been visiting us all through history, I believe, and they were often interpreted as gods. Here we have another one. The image below the Lord Ganesha is an elephant being, which one of my clients called a telephant from the Pleiades, from an experiencer. So we're seeing more and more that we are now waking up to a new interpretation of our understanding of our heritage. And the so-called gods seen globally by Indigenous peoples, like the mantid being in the Eastern Cape of South Africa, the Hoser, called the mantid, the one who teaches and pointed to the sky. In Bushman legends, the mantis was the god who came down from heavens to share knowledge with mankind. The Aborigines in Australia call the mantid beings the Mamu, reported to be ancient, wise, and master geneticists. And you can see the picture above, which is from South Africa, and the mantid being from one of my clients. Another lady in Australia found out more about the mantis and what their expertise is, and she recounts this. In 2018, I was with the tall mantis and benevolent reptilians. They took me to a massive laboratory built inside a cave-like structure with thousands of incubators with hybrids. The mantis told me the mantis, were the keepers of the universe. They had blueprints and DNA for every species that has ever existed, including extinct species on our planet. They populate planets with life forms throughout the universe. They said they were proficient at genetically modifying humans. They saw their roles as master geneticists. And of course, we have evidence, again, not in mainstream, that some of those that were in the ruling class were very likely hybrids of these intelligences. This one is Akhenaten. Everyone has always been interested in the strange shaped skulls that many of these hybrids had. They're seen all over the world. This one's Akhenaten, and a small fragment of his brain tissue found that he had a higher cranial capacity because of the need to house a larger cortex. The gene called CXPAC5, responsible for cortex growth, suggests an anomaly which is visible in the image below. So we have evidence that there have been hybrids and giants and many other species, Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal. We've had many different species of humanoid on this planet till we get to Homo sapiens sapiens. Two scientists, and I'm not going to even try and say their names, but I've got as far as Vladimir. You'll see it there. What they were saying was there's something embedded in the DNA. They called it an intelligent signal. The genetic code was invented outside the solar system several billion years ago. It appears to have an intelligent signal embedded in the genetic code, a biological SETI which would have longevity in detecting extraterrestrials. There are recognizable hallmarks of artificiality patterns, irreducible to any natural origins. So this is two scientists saying that they believe that in our DNA itself, we have all the information we need to know our heritage. Dr. Francis Crick is another one, Nobel Prize winner. And it was quite fascinating that in his book, Life Itself, this was what he was saying. For life to form by chance is mathematically virtually impossible. The immensity of complex coded, precisely sequenced information is staggering. The DNA evidence speaks of intelligent, information-bearing design. And the quote, they, who is they, programmed the molecules so that when we reached a certain level of intelligence, we would be able to access their information, and they could therefore teach us about ourselves. So what does that actually mean? A product of intelligent design or more. If they program DNA so at some evolutionary point we could access information that would teach us about ourselves, does it mean we understand our genetic heritage, hybridization, or something more profound? I think it is both. And it's quite interesting that those we surveyed, 26% gained information about the upgrading of human DNA. Scientists admit that there is a second DNA code which controls genes. So here they're finding more about the complexity of DNA. The second, they say, a secret code within the DNA, a second secret code, written on top of the DNA code, they've already cracked. This has enormous implications for health and consciousness. So we're still not fully understanding the complexity of our DNA. And the esoteric nature of DNA. DNA produces magnetized wormholes to other universes, information transmitted outside space and time, multidimensional Homo sapiens sapiens. The scientists in Russia, and I'm not going to even try and produce the names Peter and Vladimir. You can see that this has been several years now, this has been known. They and his colleagues demonstrated the esoteric nature of DNA, found DNA can cause disturbing patterns in a vacuum, producing magnetized wormholes. Yes, wormholes. Tunnel connections between entirely different areas of the universe through which information can be transmitted outside of space and time. It attracts these bits of information and passes them to our consciousness. So this is how it explains clairvoyance, intuition, some spontaneous acts of healing, self-healing, mind influencing on weather patterns, and much more. That is how we operate multidimensionally, through our own portals, if you like, or wormholes. DNA is altered, reprogrammed by words and frequencies. Again, the Russian research confirms. They are saying that human language did not appear coincidentally, but is a reflection of the human DNA. Vibrational behavior of DNA demonstrated that living chromosomes function like a holographic computer. They managed to modulate specific frequencies onto laser ray, and with it influence the DNA frequency and thus the genetic information itself. So words, frequencies, star languages, all these music, all these things that are being downloaded to those that are having encounters are bringing in frequencies that are activating and altering our DNA. We have the capacity to hold incredible amounts of information in human DNA. 1 gram of DNA can potentially hold all data stored on the internet, just 1 gram. So what maybe is stored in human DNA? Is it related to the so-called dormant DNA, previously called junk by geneticists? So DNA has the storage device with just 1 gram of DNA, 215 million gigabytes. Many experiences download symbols, speak star languages. Is it possible that the language frequencies alter and activate dormant DNA? And this is what Tracy said. I've come to the realization that languages produce brain activity similar to meditation. This understanding I was given by the beings. The language, including light star languages, contains particular vibrational frequencies that assist with the awakening and clearing of the pineal system to allow more open access to cosmic frequencies, remembrance, and deep transformation and healing.
Ako na halagon skrikan skola kayo organiskaya. Alam ko adskiniang oyetka. Akalo kania kurskiriam ko an tukrihe. Akalo ayentkia. Muskre asikole hamar kurskian yo laha. Alaga mga hip chukup kaliget kan ko khare oni train tutkwaritya. Nikor kaya tsko alakatian ko patketya. Ko hurricane no correct ketika pukul udkia aku lagma sinion kare fush nikari iski et correct maka legeni ko kalekits kada udkia mo ayiti halina.
That's one of many different star languages I've heard over the years. And many of those that are starting to work with energy and healing find themselves coming out with languages and symbols. There's a purpose to this, a very significant purpose that is aligned with the activation and awakening of humanity. So what are we looking at here? Ongoing interaction with our species. Why? Research suggests of this ongoing program of genetic activation of human DNA, potentially was called junk DNA. They were unclear to its function. But junk DNA is approximately, I hear from 90% to 95% to 98% of human DNA, and refers to non-coding DNA. As the scientists discover more information is encoded in DNA that we previously didn't understand, they're finding already more complexity to it. The esoteric component to DNA accesses multidimensional realities. DNA can be altered by words and frequencies such as music and languages. Why is this understanding of the complexity of human DNA and its so-called dormant properties so significant and relevant? Is it an evolutionary program of activation of DNA? If so, what is the evidence, how it's achieved, and how is this related to the new generations of human contact with non-human intelligences? Dr. Lena Olson is a molecular biologist, scientist, experiencer, healer. There's many other things that she has got wonderful skills with. And this is what she is saying. The information of the donors and their background is there, a hidden key, and like PC programmers hide their work. This key can be activated. The programmers know the person is ready to be contacted. The activated ones spread a signal to wake the others up. I feel they are speeding this up. And this is how we are being, all of us as a collective, are being activated to wake up and activate more of who and what we are and the potential that the star beings have programmed into our DNA. And this is why everyone is starting to feel different. Intelligent design, upgrading. One of the 13-year-olds many years ago drew this picture when he went on board craft of one of the beings. And he said, I felt these beings were like scientists and were curious about us. I was told it was something to do with genetics. And many have got information from their experiences that showed that 25% were given information about the upgrading of human DNA. 11-year-old Matthew explains that when he was sleeping, this being came. They seemed to be good. He said, short, light grey, big head, small slit for a mouth, big black eyes. I was lifting up the ceiling and blacked out. I woke in a dome-shaped ship to see the beings around a control panel type desk where they were communicating in another language telepathically. But I could hear. I focused on the control panel, hearing sounds which I felt was altering my DNA. After this encounter, Matthew downloaded spontaneous 5 songs called Decoding Human DNA, all completed within 3 days. So this is not just one soul. This is many, many now coming out with the same patterns of understanding. And Dr. Marie Batchelor, an MD, also an experiencer, said, DNA is changed by frequency. It comes through her hands and voice and through the light star languages. She describes herself as a galactic DNA rewirer, DNA upgrades and activation through her galactic connection. I feel we are changing from carbon-based to crystalline. The DNA is changed by frequency. So we're getting the same patterns of information. And what did Nikola Tesla say all those years ago? That our entire biological system, the brain and the earth itself, works on the same frequencies. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So what about the upgrades of human that are being identified, usually through parents who are noticing their children are different? This is what Tracy said in my second book. Many physical alterations have occurred in children who have cosmic awareness. They are stronger in many ways than a human child, children that claim to have higher percentage of human genes. Their molecular structure is arranged differently, allowing the cells and all that makes up the physical body vibrate much faster. Everything is accelerated, including immune system responses. The DNA has tenfold the amount of information. Telepathy, manipulation of time and space, nonverbal communication are conscious abilities and are natural. Sorry, that's in my first book. She has written something in the second which adds to that. And Dr. William Brown, a molecular biologist, whose application is occurring right now in utero and producing new humans. He says that the research will show dormant genetic regions are being integrated into the biological system, happening to all of us to produce expanded awareness. The information is encoded within the atomic structure of the DNA, accessed with greater efficiency to produce savant-like characteristics. It's more like remodeling of the genome to make dormant regions accessible. Again, the same statement, dormant regions accessible. Vast amounts of information and functional capacity is already there. And in the free survey, we are finding that 70% felt expanded consciousness in the presence of an ET, 90% believed there was a grand plan, 19% told that humans were created by ETs. The new human, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is those that are being born over the last few generations, but also the older models like myself. We all have the capacity to activate and become part of this awakened consciousness. It's all there. It's just the new ones that are being born now are a little bit more awake to their heritage and who they are. We call them indigos, crystal children, star seeds, etc. And this is what Dr. Lena Olson is saying. She doesn't believe they're broken genes, but offering new multidimensional abilities, heightened physical senses, above normal sensory cells for pressure on the skin, hear sound frequencies above and below normal range, aware of minute differences in shades of color than normal, taste and smell are enhanced, sensitive to all frequencies and can feel overwhelmed by sensory overload, sensitivity to radioactive radiation, energy fields and energies being out of angry people, as well as love and happiness. So if you've got a child in the last 20 odd years or more, you are more likely to find that they are hypersensitive. And many of them are empaths, so will feel and sense things on a far heightened level than you do. The exponential increase in autistic ADD indigo children have a new genetic architecture which allows them to see the world in a multidimensional fashion. It's a modification of the DNA. Their brains work faster. They have access to more information. Exactly what Tracy Taylor was saying. It's transgenerational information encoded within the atomic structure of the DNA molecule with savant-like characteristics and a remodeling of the genome to make dormant regions accessible. The hybrids are altogether a new species of human. Always dialed into higher dimensions was the way that Neil Gold actually translated his experiences. He said he was ADHD, but didn't realize that till he was in his 50s. And he said his Close Encounters is about what happened in his extra-dimensional world where he met the beings of light. He wrote the book Close Encounters of the ADHD Kind. And symptomatic of this, he said, I'm not limited to the square template of the universe. I'm wired to the multidimensional universe. My internet browser can browse into chaos, be it on Earth or the multiverse. I can perceive hidden layers of order and make sense of it all. Most folk without a supercharged browser cannot do this. They are focused towards convention and this reality. So this is what these ADHD diagnosis children are actually operating from. And what do we do, or what is done by mainstream, is medicate them so they slow them down so they can be programmed into a limited and limiting 3D reality. Activation of multidimensional awareness through contact with non-human intelligences. So what does that mean? It means perceiving spirits, energy beings, energy, out-of-body experiences, astral travel, healing abilities, heightened intelligence, information knowledge via downloads, heightened senses such as telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, remote influencing, past life recall on Earth and other planetary systems and dimensions, telekinesis, creative expressions, telepathic communication, scripts, symbols, art, light language, music, mind influencing abilities, remote sensing, viewing, influencing the elements such as the weather, traveling through portals, ability to communicate with animals and plants. All of this is as we are activated into our true nature and heritage, as we are activating our full consciousness. The secret school is one of the ways these non-human intelligences, star beings, are helping us to prepare us for this activation and awakening where we will see reality differently and bring in all our understanding. And Whitley Strieber wrote the book, The Secret School, Preparation for Contact, many years ago, and I know he was ridiculed for a while, even talking about it. Remembering the journey outside of time was another step. 9 lessons involved the manipulation of time, because learning how to use time as the tool is the key to reaching higher consciousness and a real relationship with the beings. This is what we are all being prepared for, to reach a consciousness where we can interact with them on a telepathic basis. As a little 5-year-old many years said to his mum, "I learn more on the ships than I do at school. They float, not walk, and become invisible." Another young child said, "Magic school, a white light comes through the window." The mother had said to him, "Did you have any good dreams last night?" He said, "Yes, Mum, I finished magic school." "What did you learn?" says the mother. "Everything, mostly science. I learned about space and gravity. Time controls everything. Time controls all." My son says, "A white light comes through the window," and suddenly he's there at school. The quantum hologram, multidimensional education taught to both adults and children by these beings. How to pilot spacecraft and how to navigate star maps. Shown advanced technologies. Consciousness, soul, spirit move to another form of non-humans. Sometimes their consciousness is moved to another form for a task. Shown genetic engineering of different species, both on and off world. Healing procedures on board craft. The nature of black holes and wormholes. To decode and understand scripts, symbols, and light languages. Yes, many can actually decode what they're downloading. Time travel technologies taken on missions on Earth and off-world. Taught advanced physics, technologies to create non-polluting energy sources, ecologically friendly environments, and interstellar capabilities. This is from a hybrid. She identifies it as a hybrid, Marine Seren from Spain. And she said, this is the drawing that she sent to me some time ago. Ages 8 to 24, teaches star guide humanoid. I was taught the relationship between the pi number and the Fibonacci sequence and geometry numerology. The drawing shows the moment when I replied to a question and they were happy for us to participate. They don't teach like a nurse school. Their education is interactive and telepathic, creative and joyous. They took the spacecraft around some beautiful places in space for us to observe and enjoy. This is happening to many, many of the children of parents that have contacted me. A 9-year-old explains an out-of-body experience. When I'm visited by the beings with black eyes and grey skin, they surround my bed and come out of a portal. They are part of the science team. The taller aliens have an IQ of over 400, lifespan much longer than humans, and if they cut themselves, it heals automatically. His head started to feel funny and then vibrated, and his soul went up through his head, and he could go anywhere in the universe, is how he explained his experiences. The present system doesn't understand us. Eli, 9 years old. I know different types of maths than before I came here. I was doing light physics. I change light, use light to make things out of light. All schools so far don't accept me. I need to go to a different school because even in my group, I'm different. I'm supposed to be different because I learn more and I learn differently than they do. I'm from a different star, different planet, different universe. I know I am a star child. I know more science and maths than are from here. I know how to build a portal. I know how to teleport. These are all children still under 10. Past life recall from a 10-year-old in Australia. This is my first Earth life. I am a center seed, and he talked about what that meant. It meant he's come in to connect with the center of this planet and to help with pollution. He remembers his previous life, and this is the image you see there, with the symbols down his leg. And I asked him, what did the symbols mean? And he actually, as you'll see to the right of that, what those symbols actually mean. Me, the roots, and the center of the planet. So they're able, even with, when you ask them, they're able to give you detail, which is fascinating. This is what he actually said as a center seed. He can connect to the core of the planet to heal the planet and its pollution, its soul mission. He recalls choosing his mother and passing through a portal to be born, knowing this is his first Earth life. Speaks light star language, triggered if someone needs healing to help them. Telepathy is a root pattern in his head. Paul speaks about beings that created this dimension. He works with crystals, perceives interdimensionally with his eyes open, awareness of many dimensions, timelines, and struggles to focus on one timeline where his physical body is. Paul explains his understanding of his mission as a center seed means the ability to heal the planet of its pollution, rebalance the environment for everyone, not just humans, but animals and plants. Now, the hybrid seems to be a kind of understanding that the individual is more aware of their hybrid nature, and this may be, we believe, that they have extra ET DNA that they're identifying with, such as Pleiadian, Arcturian, etc. And that's why they see themselves as hybrids. And this is said by Marina in Spain. Hybrids are expressing their consciousness through their DNA, as is the new human. The hybrids are part of the new human archetype we're evolving into. The labels don't matter, the humans are evolving. Our DNA is advancing, and we will express that in any way possible, contained in our DNA. They're scalar imprinted memories of all other beings in our DNA, that are all other beings our DNA has to pass through, and can express it in the new human template. We can express it in the hybrid forms such as indigo, crystal. That energy we are expressing or perceiving through their reality lens and what we are emitting. Sorry, that's not Marina, that one there. That's actually Zach. Chapter 10 is talking about this. The image was from Marina. Sorry. They're all interconnected, but you perceive it as different. So Zach talks about this in detail in chapter 10 of my book, if you are interested in more information on that. We already have their DNA in our bodies. They're activating it through frequency and light manipulation to expedite the evolution of humanity. Antonio identifies with being an Arcturian ambassador. When he wrote to me, he told me that he was a hybrid. Zach in the book says, I was told I was hybridized for expressing the human genome. There are many different agendas on this planet, and each species has their own programs. It's not like hybridizing us by replacing our DNA with theirs. The consciousness we are vibrating with is the attributes we take on. So if someone is strongly connecting to Arcturians, they will take on Arcturian attributes. If one is connected to the Greys, it's the same thing. You are connected to which creates the expression. And that's how we are understanding more about why those connect and believe that take on what they believe is their star origin. In this book, Meet the Hybrids, there's various stories of those that are identifying with hybrids. In her book, Meet the Hybrids, Jacqueline Smith has a story. And this is what she actually said. Hybrids on Earth help raise the frequency of humankind so humans can evolve and embrace their cosmic family. With major paradigm shifts taking place, humanity is evolving into a new human. This means the DNA of humankind is changing in ways which are allowing them to expand consciousness. And she has written her own book since then, Star Being in the Mirror, My Journey as a Hybrid. My life has never been a normal life, she says. I began when I was genetically altered by tall white Zeta masters, a cocktail of DNA with 7 star races. My talents and skills were enhanced. I chose to be a hybrid from a soul level. I consider myself a bridge, able to share both human and star being points of view. I often felt I'd landed on another planet, trying to figure out the planet Earth's culture. I have felt uncomfortable in my skin, as if I was wearing a costume, human skin. And many, many hybrids feel the same, that they really struggle with the density of this planet. They don't feel they relate to others that they meet. They often feel like they've been adopted in their own families. And this is because for some of them, like the young 10-year-old, they've not been on this planet before. Night classes on the mothership, Jacqueline says, were practicing sending thoughts to each other, taught to expand intuitive abilities, create images together through their minds, create light energy balls with their minds and send to others in the class, create geometric constructs in the air which vibrated with neon colors not seen by the human eye. They also had sounds like music with these constructs, move objects with their mind, manifesting balls of light into whatever I chose to be, such as a cat, a dog, whatever I chose it to be, such as cats and dogs of pure light, that was the step to physical forms. We also played with hybrid children and spoke to them telepathically. So this is a level that has never really been acknowledged until fairly recently in ufological circles. It was enough to say that you thought you might have been taken or abducted and had procedures done on you. The bigger picture is now evolving into real conscious contact with our soul families, our star families, and our mission. India, 9 years old, identifies as a hybrid. She's a gorgeous little girl. This is the drawing of her as a water being. I'm a water being plus human. In her past life, she lived on a water planet and when she looks in the mirror, she still believes she's one of them. I talk to animals and I understand how they feel. I can feel things in music more deeply than other people. I can feel the emotion and the story behind the music without anyone telling me. I can feel the person who wrote the music and the message they want to say in the music. So she tells me that she's part water being, part human on this planet right now. Some of you may know Lee Capitelli. She's a beautiful young lady I met when she was only 19. And what is interesting and fascinating to me is all the wonderful drawings that she's done of the numerous, and I mean numerous, different intelligences she's interacted with. She can talk about their personalities and characters, what kind of life they have and what have you. And she's written a book, Soul Remembers, of some of her past lives. And what I mean now is we're talking about a whole new level of contact, is my point. That it's not just, I saw a few light beings or a grey being in my bedroom and they might have taken me somewhere, which is still extremely important and valid. What I'm talking about is many of the new generations of human are perfectly comfortable with their interactions with these beings and don't feel it's strange. What is hard for them is having it acknowledged and believed on a planet that still is trying to struggle with the fact that we're not alone. Eli is talking about the system doesn't understand them. I know a different type of maths before I came here. I was doing light physics. I change light, use light, make things out of light. All schools so far don't accept me. I need to go to a different school because even in my group, I am different. I'm supposed to be different because I learn more and I learn differently than others. I'm from a different star, different planet, and different universe. And a star child. Sorry, I think I've already done a double one on that one. I know how to build a portal and I know how to teleport. What's interesting in portals here is from Leonie, a wonderful lady who helps these new generations of human and their own grandchildren. And one of the interesting things she sent me was this. After playing with the spirograph, my grandson was excited. He'd drawn what was exactly what the portals in the bush garden around his home looked like to him. So again, they're able to ascertain what they're seeing and understand what it is. I'm going to tell you a bit more about Leonie later, a wonderful friend, and she's doing incredible work with some of the children, helping them to see without physical sight. Eli in chapter 8 of The New Human says we can, in terms of portals, you can go to Orion and back at one time, and you had to go via Mars. Now the technology means you can go there directly. You can go two ways, one in your mind and one in your body. It's a frequency thing. So we're learning more and more now of what consciousness can do. And here is Leonie, as I say, beautiful soul I've known for a number of years. Sensing sight, extraocular vision, seeing without physical sight. Teaching now for 6 years, she's been doing this, her grandchildren, other children, many labelled ADHD, autistic and dyslexic. And what she has worked, what in simplistic terms, and I know she could explain it a lot better than I can, is that the child is taught to see with their consciousness, to read with their consciousness, to hear with their consciousness. Everything is from their consciousness and not their physical senses, and showing us just what the capacity of human consciousness can do. She teaches other children remote viewing, telepathy, telekinesis, ages between 5 and 10. And let me just now show you what her grandson was doing, just to show you how incredible this actually is. Pretty amazing when you consider that there's no physical sight available to him to do that, and there's many other incredible things that these children can do now in terms of seeing colours, reading, etc., etc. This was something done by a 17-year-old in New Zealand when he was asked to do a project for the school. I think he was only 15 at the time. He produced a model of technologies in a school project that he stated resonated on pure light and sound with crystalline generators to increase the vibratory level of the physical world by crystals around the pyramid. He stated that the pyramid could project the vibration of those inside the pyramid and send it around the globe. This is what these new children are demonstrating to us. Now, you're going to hear, I don't think you've already heard it yet, the Dillon family and the wonderful mother of these amazing children and her own experiences. Elsa, I have been blessed to connect with her and her wonderful children. And I know she'll be showing you more of families' interactions and explaining those, but I want to just give you a bit of an idea of my interview or my chat with her daughter, Gigi, and how she explained her experiences.
Hi, Meg. How are you, Gigi? So you're 17. Yeah. When were you aware that you were having a form of communication or contact?
2, 3. I would wake up and I'd start screaming. There was an older lady in the room, like a ghost. Lots of astral traveling. Wake up outside 4 in the morning and I feel like I've been floating there. You know, back here. Spaceships are more extraterrestrial. Like that happens more when 15. Blue light took up so much of the sky. Hey, don't worry, it's just here to show and present itself.
Did you feel that they were telling you why they were visiting?
You're on the right track. This is what you're supposed to be doing. A lot of the messages I get when I'm asleep, one of them touched me on my stomach, I wake up with a mark. The messages in the dream, they would tell me something, a number, a word, or a smell, a colour, and that will help me with a painting.
Do you ever consciously have communication?
Yes, all the time. They're like non-stop painting. They will say the star names, help with healing or a better way to be, or Navia, meaning a role to share knowledge, an oversoul, friend, or live in inner earth as a construct of a range according to a pattern or an organisation.
She's got the most amazing energy.
It's their way of speaking, or if it's a frequency through the way how I draw.
Do you get a message in that symbol or that light language?
I'll show you. Frequencies coming down human resonance. It's like a pulse coming through all the energy that they bring in. They're telling their story through it.
You'll get the language and some you don't.
Telepathic, they'll message through me. Like a lot of them are hovering over my shoulder.
How many beings do you know you've drawn?
So many coming through. All of them I feel connected to. Like I've already known them. I've connected from now. Already incarnated here before with us. Some of them I've known on missions or something, communicating with all these things. There's such a large amount like coming down. And I feel like it's my role, like talk to other people around the world. It goes a little bit serious when they talk about extraterrestrials. Beautiful and intelligent. There's pure light or energy.
To see the art that's coming through with the frequencies is just amazing. And I'm so appreciative, and I know a lot of other people are going to be as well.
Wonderful soul and wonderful family, and you'll hear more of that. But what also is now very, very clear is many of them are connecting to other incarnations that are relevant and why they've actually come here at this moment in our history and in human history. And this is just one of the craft, I think, recently that they were actually seeing. And of course, so many are being seen now across the planet. People are filming them all over the place.
Thank you. Oh, look, the city's coming through.
One of the reasons so many are seeing the craft as well, it's not just that they're able to video them. what we've discovered is that often when you're seeing something like that, there is a download or an interaction of some kind. So there's more to your sighting, perhaps, than you realize. To get to more of what is not known about these interactions and where you have to be really careful about making a judgment of intent is that we have got many, many different intelligences visiting this planet. And I believe most of them are benevolent. There may be a small percentage that have their own agendas, and the military know about this. Preston Dennett, in his latest book, 300 Cases of People Healed by Extraterrestrials. They've also been protected from major injuries and what have you. So why are they doing this? They're not, if you want to look at agendas and you want to look at the outcomes, in many cases, as I've said, we found with that 4,200 people that 85% had a psycho-spiritual transformation. That has to be a guiding light to understanding more of the most important programs. Energy healer working multidimensionally explained her awakening contact. This was a lady who was working as an energy worker, and what was her wake-up call happened this way. She told me she saw spirits had been taken to different dimensions. She sensed truth. She had information. She'd get information from a photograph of a person. She could heal remotely. She had information from her guardian angels and team. She experienced clairaudience and clairsentience. Now, what actually happened was that she was asked to heal someone in the UK. She found there was a block to healing it, and she didn't know why. The next thing that happened to her was the lady she was healing and herself were taken aboard a spacecraft, and she saw the beings healing the lady. She actually saw this. And the lady the next few days after that was well. What freaked her out was there were non-human intelligences. It wasn't what she expected. And that was her wake-up call. She said now she's being visited by non-human intelligences, as is her son and daughter, and who I am told will be helping me. This image is one of the beings that visits her. She now understands that she's been visited all her life. And she said, I'm a medium, but although I'm aware of lives on planets, what happened to me in the last few days shocked me. Never in a million years believed that me or my child would have contact with ETs. I believed they existed, but paid no attention. This is completely new. So that was how she had a wake-up call and realized there was more than spirits and angels and elementals, etc. There was actually non-human intelligences like the one you see in the form there. She said, I couldn't send any, this is her experience. She couldn't send energy to the lady who was feeling helpless, so I asked for help. And within seconds, an alien was standing in front of me with my patient in their arms. He took her somewhere and gave her to others to heal her. I couldn't see them, but felt their energies. I saw that they took out something that looked like a long black stick made of metal or something. I was then back and in a position to send light to her. They also sent some colourful light to her. So she was saying that she couldn't do the healing. She was calling on for help. I received an update from my best friend's mum, not mine. They belong to no one. My daughter Kathy gets in messages. My 9-year-old daughter has healing abilities, speaks healing words and ET languages, and purifies water. So this is another skill these new generations have. They can put out frequencies that can rebalance and harmonise, including water. She has helpers who guide and teach her.
I woke up staring right into the...
Sorry, I'll start that first. So healing is another aspect of this. And this is a bit of a story from Dr. Lena Olson and her experiences with the cone-headed beings. And you'll hear what she says here. Oh, sorry.
I woke up staring right into the lower body of a small being. I raised my head and upper body from the bed and leaned my head into my right hand. Immediately I focused my eyes on places in the room and wondered what this being looked like. I left my body and went to those places in above and behind the being. I could see my body from above, felt so happy, and then I slowly lowered myself down into my body. When I was back and in control of my body, I leaned forward towards the being.
He was still standing, healing me with his eyes shut, and I could see the soft glow from the fabric in his suit and every fiber in it.
She had clear memory of the buckle of clear glass, swirl of yellow-green strokes rotating. It was the cause of the green-yellow light in the room. She was able to leave her body and look at this being from all perspectives. She knew they were healing and transforming her body. And this is just one of many. Here she is with a cone-headed being there. She said she was taught healing techniques from the non-physical friends, how to enhance, direct her energy. One type are like the cone heads, but also 12 other older looking beings, a golden Buddha and a mantid being. Taught how to partly leave her body, go into a client's body and feel their problem. I do the same thing to connect to their past lives or problems in their present that can cause imbalance. I correct this imbalance and reload them with higher frequencies and thus helped on an energy level. This is what many healers now are doing. Healing through symbols by extraterrestrials. And this, again, is an interesting one. I feel grateful that my children are having the experiences. They seldom become ill, but when they do, the ETs have provided my children with healing. I've awoken on several occasions to sense beings in the room, only to put back to sleep rather quickly. I saw beings dropping symbols of energy into their bodies, and on one occasion witnessing a small black triangular healing device upon the bed towards my son's side. So the symbols have multiple purposes, and one of them obviously is for healing. From fear to understanding, this is the big test for human consciousness, is to transcend fear. And this is what is said by, this is how Tracy Taylor mentioned her understanding. She said, I slowly became compassionate to ET beings as there's so much humans can learn from interacting with them. There has always been an equal exchange between me and the Zetas. I help them achieve their genetic goals, and in return my healing psychic abilities, plus my understanding of life on Earth, has been enhanced. They also protect me if I ask them. The knowing ET part of me initially made a decision to assist them. However, this understanding was overshadowed by fear, which stems from limited human perceptions. And this is really where those 85% said through the process of awakening to contact, they experienced a psycho-spiritual transformation. The survey of the contact talks about their encounters as a psycho-spiritual transformation. And I met this wonderful gentleman several times before he passed on. He was in the military. He saw cosmic secret. He knew what the military were hiding. He ultimately admitted he was an experiencer and had been on the craft for a number of weeks. This was a few years before he died. And he said this and what he learned. The late Commander Sergeant Robert Dean, after many years promoting unidentified aerial phenomena, shared that he'd spent time on a spacecraft with non-human intelligences. He was told Homo sapiens originate from 12 different species, and he was also shown the future for humanity and stated it was glorious. 12 new groups of human and activation. Dr. Lena Olson says this: if my information download is correct, there will be 12 different main groups of new DNA people. This corresponds to 12 different main groups of ET alien DNA donors, so 9 more to go. I do wonder what their different features will be and if they will be allowed to go public. Their RDNA is activated mainly by remote control and frequencies, so it's like putting a virus in software, a computer program. When they are using their DNA, as long as they are alive, they will give off an energy pattern that spreads to their surroundings, almost like flu or GMO genes, which can contaminate via frequency patterns. So in other words, those that are activated, those who've got the frequencies, are already doing exactly that. They're spreading this through their energy, through their work, just by being. They are activating others that are ready to receive those frequencies. And it's not so simple as foreign DNA. It's a combination of genetically improved bodies in combination with souls from different places in the universe incarnating in these improved bodies. The souls have different frequencies and vibrations depending on their evolutionary status that plays a role in activation of the DNA of that particular body. I believe we also have to take into account the collective soul of Homo sapiens. Cosmic agenda. 78% of those in the survey believe the changes they've undergone are part of an evolutionary unfolding of humanity. 86% experienced a sense of purpose and mission. 73% highly positive experiences. 74% more holistically orientated. 54% feelings of compassion strongly increased. 91% felt more connected to all living beings. 67% believe they're powerful cosmic forces to spiritualize the planet. 73% believe we are now living through a time of greatly accelerated spiritual evolution. 72% believe their encounters occurred to awaken them to the existence of a larger cosmic force. 72% evolutionary forces are at work to transform humanity into a more self-aware, spiritually sensitive species, and the psychospiritual transformation. 79% we're on the verge of a new age, and non-human intelligences have a role in that change. So the next part of the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Free Foundation has changed into Consciousness and Contact Research Institute, where incorporated in this book, the greater reality that is now really a combination of scientists, physicists, etc., talking about all the different ways through NDEs, OBEs, UFO spirits, we are being awoken to our true selves, to who we really are. And the stories in there are all coming that tie in NDEs, OBEs, spirits, etc., as the contact modalities. And this is where we're going now. We are looking at what is consciousness, and consciousness is primary. What about the change ahead for humanity? A 12-year-old replies, everyone is moving dimensions. The higher self on this planet is trying to do this, even if the person is totally unaware. We will be in a more neutral happiness and harmony with the planet and each other. Everyone will evolve into a higher dimensional being eventually. No one will be left behind. It will vary in timings. This is happening throughout the galaxy. The shift is happening to all. Amy's mission is to help people connect with the earth, to ground people and help them connect to their higher selves. Why are they interested in humanity? It's because we have their DNA. Research suggests that we are an intelligently designed species and have DNA from multiple off-world species. These intelligences have encoded in human DNA abilities and awareness that we do not yet fully understand. However, these multidimensional abilities can be activated and are being activated through encounters and contact with our star ancestors. This is an evolutionary program, one of many, to raise human consciousness so we can align with our star ancestors to finally become cosmic citizens. As one 8-year-old said, "Mummy, we are the aliens." There we go.